Hi people! As you might know, the Gluth encounter in Naxxramas has a zombie kiting mechanic. There are 3 spawns, each one spitting out a zombie every 10th second. About every 100th second, Gluth will decimate everything in the room except himself down to 5% health. At that point, the zombies will all start running towards him, and the ones that get too close will become dog food, healing him for about 5% each. At that point, you want the zombies stacked so you can AoE them down before they reach him. Each time a zombie hits you, it will apply a debuff, massively increasing the damage they deal to you. After not too many stacks, they will one-shot you. This debuff lasts for a minute and it gets refreshed each time a zombie strikes you. These mobs cannot be tanked, so kiting it is. And therefore, in this video, we'll look at a few ideas on how you can kite them. Regardless of method, the kiter should have swiftness of Sansa potions, or at least have the minor movement speed and chance on your boots. And so, let's have a look at a few tactics for kiting the zombies. So method 0, a bunch of mages. I've decided to call it 0 because it's kind of a no-brainer. And it's not really that unique. But anyway, having a mage solo kite each spawn is likely going to be difficult actually, as all mages are spec'd into fire. Cone of Cold will have a 10-second cooldown, meanwhile the slow will only last for 8 seconds. Mistakes will be very unforgiving due to the zombie debuff, and if a mage dies, releasing 7 zombies into the raid, you will have a massive problem. The mage method is absolutely a method that might work, but it's likely more risky than you might believe at first, and most mages will try to stay fire for Naxxramas, and probably don't want to respec for a single encounter. I won't get too much into this method as I feel that I'm saying things people already know, but I kinda had to mention it at least. Anyway, moving on to method 1, Hunter plus Mage. You'll want to keep 1 mage at each spawn as well as a hunter placing a freezing trap. Even though the cooldown for freezing trap is only 15 seconds and it lasts for 30 seconds, the cooldown for feign death is 30 seconds and therefore you will need 1 hunter per spawn. There are a few very strong talents for improving the trap. Clever traps will increase the duration of freezing trap by 30%. Trap mastery will reduce the chance that your traps will be resisted by 10%. And finally, entrapment will give your frost trap a 25% chance to entrap the target for 5 seconds, preventing them from moving. And this will happen each time the effect of the frost trap is reapplied, which is at least once every 2 seconds, and it can also be refreshed while the target is already entrapped. So technically it can perma-entrap a target for the whole duration of the trap. This will however be quite a risky move, as the entrapment will cause a lot of randomness to the crowd control and make it much more difficult to gather the zombies up when it's time for AoE, but it could be a very strong talent. The mages primarily need to keep the zombies gathered and kite them in circles around the frost trap, and then gather them up in the middle right as the decimate is about to go out. Alliances could also use paladins for this method, as they can use their buffs to generate a decent amount of threats, and then combine the hunter trap with the swiftness of Sansa potion for the kiting. This could be useful as it would allow to keep more DPS on the boss. There really isn't much to heal until it's time for decimate, at which point the paladins could simply heal for a bit while the zombies are getting killed. Method 2, Warrior plus Mage. You keep 1 warrior with piercing howl and 1 mage at each spawn. The mage should use Cone of Cold to aggro the zombies right as it spawns, and then moving a typical Cone of Cold kiting pattern around the spawn. Try and make sure to hit all zombies with Cone of Cold as the next one spawns. You want to have the warrior to keep piercing howl up to make a missed Cone of Cold not mean death. In order to gain rage, the warrior will have to deal small amounts of damage to the zombies nearby. He needs to make sure not to over aggro. As you approach the decimate, you simply gather all zombies up in the middle for AoE. Method 3, this will be horde only, with shamans using their totems and a few mages. This is basically the same as the previous method, except instead of using a warrior's shouts, you're now using a shaman's earthbind totem to slow them down. And this totem can of course be combined with any other method really. Method 4, healing aggro in the tunnel. This is a naughty method which might not work, but it sounds kind of interesting. You could leave a healer up in the end of the tunnel together with all hunter pets. As all of you would take some nature damage from the poison fumes, the healer could keep healing them and then use that healing threat to aggro all the zombies. The zombies would then just stand there and stare at the unreachable healer. Maybe the decimate would still hit the zombies, making them run to the boss, maybe not. Maybe they will get despawned after Gluth dies, and maybe not. It might work, but Blizzard might not be very fond of people doing it. Method 5. Healers as bait, frost traps and a single mage. If you place all the healers in roughly the middle of the room and place a freezing trap a couple of yards behind them, all the zombies will be aggroed to the healers cause of healing aggro. You can then run as a mage and hit a few arcane explosions until you got aggro on the zombies. And now you run in circles around the frost trap and keep gathering up the new zombies as they come. This will allow for maximum DPS on the boss and a nice stacking of zombies as decimate goes out. Note that this trade-off means that mistakes are more costly. If the single mage dies, you now have every single zombie loose. It's always going to be a trade-off between safety and DPS on the boss. There are of course more possible ways to deal with the zombies, but it should be done in the most simple way possible, and I feel like these were the most easy ways of kiting. So I hope this gave you a few ideas for how to deal with the zombies during the Gluth encounter. Best of luck and make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or suggestions, please join the Discord community Cloudy Days and hit me up. A link in the description. I also want to throw out a huge thanks to the people who've donated to me via PayPal. It helps a lot and it means a lot. Anyway, that was all for now. I'll be back soon with another video. See ya!